Have you ever thought about making your own podcast? If you haven't, Anchor is the way to go. It's a really easy way to get started. It's free. They have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. They will distribute the podcast for you so it can be heard just about everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, many more locations. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Everything you need to make one podcast or several podcasts all in one place. All you have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. Check it out. Welcome to Let's Chew the Gum. I'm your host, Protkall. We talk about a lot of things on this show while we chew the gum. And as always, on each and every show, we always have
something for your mind, something for your mind, something for your mind,
정신을 집어넣으세요. 마음에 어떤 것이 필요합니까?
something for your
정신을 집어넣으세요.
mind,
정신을 집어넣으세요.
something for your
Welcome back to March 17th, 2020. Welcome to the next edition of Let's Chew the Gum. You can find us on Spotify and a few other podcast platforms. You can go to our site on anchor.fm/protkall to check out more. Feel free to donate to the station or to start your own. It's easily done. Inbox me for details at protkall@gmail.com or letschewthegum@gmail.com. That's PROTKALL@gmail.com or LETSCHEWTHEGUM@gmail.com. That's a long name for spelling out alphabetically. Anyway, welcome back today. As you know, on this show, we talk about all types of topics, and we love to talk about any topic and entertain you. Feel free to call in anytime, or even consider a topic you want to discuss or to be a guest on the show. But today I have a most special guest that I invited to come on the show, and he's in the studio. I would say that this person is probably the top choice for my first show, and why not? My very own son. My son is in the studio. He goes by Nyktos. He is an accomplished musician. He is an accomplished personal trainer. He is also licensed in cosmetology. He's a man of all trades and excellent at all. So feel free to reach out to them. I'm going to ask him to put his contact info out to you guys and tell you a little bit more about what he does and what he can offer you in a minute. So there's a lot going on. So let me just go ahead and introduce. Here he is, Nyktos Light.
What's up? What's up?
Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. What's up? I like that voice. Pretty cool to have you in here, man. And as you know, I spoke to you and asked you if you wanted to come on, and you obliged us. So I understand that you do quite a few different things. Yeah. So what's one of the most interesting incidents you've had in, let's say, your personal training experience, as far as training someone else?
The most interesting experience that I've had so far really is helping somebody have that psychological breakthrough and thinking that they can accomplish something with their own body, and then for them to actually realize and look in the mirror that they can lift a certain amount of weight or maintain a certain stance for a certain amount of given time. It was just mind-boggling to me, because a lot of people think that working out or getting in shape or just training or even bettering yourself is an arduous task or some sort of chore. But when you realize it, like, and you look at yourself in the mirror, you're moving all day, and that's all they had to realize.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. It reminds me of a conversation you had when you first, well, I don't know if you first began, but back in your journey to become a certified personal trainer by NASM, correct? That's the National
Yes.
Association, right? National Academy of Sports Medicine, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right, yes, yeah, I know who you are. But no, but a while back when I was asking you questions about fitness and bodybuilding and maintaining weight, we sat, as a matter of fact, in this very room, and you said to me, you said, if you think about it, all it is about resistance to gravity and moving force against gravity. So the way you hold your body, the way you move your body, how you align your body, gravity is going to affect all those things. So if you got bad posture, gravity is going to pull that posture into position. And you talked about creating a resistance against that gravity force, and that's the essence of in body motion, kinetics, etc. So I remember that, man, and it just dawned on me. So I could imagine that somebody experiencing that, and maybe they didn't get the theoretical background extensively as you gave me, but for them to experience the fact that they accomplished something that they thought they couldn't, I understand that's a remarkable task, man. What about you, man? Some things that you thought you couldn't accomplish. What are some things that you've surprised yourself with personal results?
Some of the things that I didn't think that I would be able to overcome really creates a list of multitudes that I could go on, honestly, I believe, for hours. But some of the main things that a lot of people would have issues getting around was fear. I never thought it would be possible for me to be in the shape that I am today. Like, if you were to tell me that this is who I would be, I probably would have like laughed back then and told you to leave me alone with your lies or whatever, because it was just a reality so far out of my vision. But I started with doing things like yoga. I started using a pull-up bar. I got a bit into the CrossFit scene around 2011 before it was even really considered CrossFit. I had a coach that helped me out really well with that. Big part actually in my fitness journey. But I started just maintaining those little things that I would learn when I was actually working out, and then just do them at home and make my own little routines and things like that, and just keep at it. And even after knowing what I was doing, I experienced the rights and wrongs, or the do's and don'ts, and how my body reacted and all. And as years went on, I kept shedding more weight and getting more active, and then I kind of got into the dancing scene with the dance classes and stuff. When I went to my early years in college, and that helped as well. Then I joined the weight room there and just started working out after I would have dance classes, and started just losing more weight. It was really like a back-to-back thing with those hours. And after that, I kind of told myself, I was like, why not just be a coach or get into being a personal trainer, since I love fitness so much? Just stop being a chore like most people look at it, and became my kind of like my life source in a way, kind of like music. And
Well, you mentioned music. I like, yeah. So, I mean, that's a lot and impressive, man, to be able to overcome that type of, like you said, fear. It's definitely transformations. So tell me a little bit about your music. I know about your music, so let me not say tell me about it. I mean, I don't claim to know everything about your music, but I know everything about your music. But I'm more interested in people out there, kind of hearing what it is you are about musically, and who you are musically. I mean, I think you have such an amazing gift. So can we talk about that?
yeah, being a musician, something very dear to me. Like I mentioned with fitness, it's a life source, but music is the soul foundation, and the root system and all that branches and everything. Pretty much the tree for me. But I'm classically self-taught and trained in piano. I mostly play classical performances. That's kind of what I've become known for. But just because my classical background doesn't mean that I don't like to, dabble into like other sounds and genres or ways of, articulating instruments and all.
Well, I've seen you. I don't mean to interrupt, but I've seen you on that show, so it's no surprise to me that you're into other genres. I think that's one of the multiplicity of you is one of the things that's impressive. because although you play classical pianist, man, you have such a different vibe and look. And I mean, I don't think you're slacking on the hip hop, jazz, blues, R&B, or whatever else. I don't mean to, put out a plug like that, but it is what it is, man. So I know you had not a setback, but a postponement because you had a concert scheduled for March 22nd. And
That's correct.
I had the opportunity to hear your practice performances, which, man, I'm always blown away. Can you talk about, not necessarily about the performance itself, where it's at in the venue, because, it could be anywhere. I'm not interested in that right now, but more so about just what your mindset was behind preparing for that particular concert, and what you put into it, and maybe some of the songs, they're called songs, that you were going to play.
Well, preparing for this concert, it is a classical concert, but I was working on a couple of pieces by Beethoven and then some Rachmaninoff, but I had settled down with the two Beethoven pieces. The one that I was going to perform was the third Moonlight Sonata, or the third movement of Moonlight Sonata, and then another sonata known as the Appassionata is pretty popular, known by its name, not formally, but yeah, that's what it's known by. But my mindset for performing, I wanted to do something different and have a different sound because I never performed these pieces. I found them to be quite mature, but this was like the time in my age as a musician to showcase that pretty much. And like I said, the different sound, I haven't performed in a while, so I wanted to kind of not necessarily have a comeback, but just to, this is me now, not the person you last saw and the last impression that I've had. I wanted to showcase a different just embodiment of who my character is as a musician, as a person, as the man that I am. I wanted to really, even have a different style approach in how I was going to dress for my show. But, that really didn't have so much of an impact. But it's just like mostly the articulation of these pieces. They're very fast. There's a lot of emotion. There's parts where it's slow. I mean, I feel like it's something for everyone to hear. It can take a piece of, even if they're not into classical music or the genre itself. I find it very relatable, especially to the times now. It's very thick, let's put it like that.
Right. No, I think, man, I think I know I would love to hear it, even though I heard the practice pieces, but I didn't know about the background behind it, as far as this being not necessarily, like you put it, a comeback piece, but just like, this is me now. You're coming out different. You said a different vibe, and like, for example, talking about the maturity level of the pieces and the way you articulate them. That's the thing that I like about any musician or an artist is, I can see the art in the picture and I can make my interpretation. I could say, to the concert and say, oh, it sounded great, it was wonderful. But when like the passion and the inspiration and the drive for the artist, I think it brings it a lot more to life, whether it's a visual or an musical piece that somebody will perform. So that brings light to it, man. It makes me even more interested in wanting to hear it. And I know I asked you, I can record that concert that you were going to play, because now you got me intrigued. Yep. I want to hear it, and I'm sure that a lot of our listeners want to hear it, man. So maybe, if you're tuning in, if you're just tuning in, this is Let's Chew the Gum, my newest podcast, currently on Spotify and other musical platforms. You can check out a link or get a link to the page by going to anchor.fm/protkall, PROTKALL. And I'm sitting here with my most special guest, my very own son, Nyktos Light, is here with me today. And we're talking about fitness and all those good things, music and life and growth. And it's been a great conversation. So you can also feel free to phone in as a guest at any time or submit topics to our Gmail accounts. The first one being protkall@gmail.com, protkall@gmail.com, and then also, as the show's title suggests, Let's Chew the Gum @gmail.com. Let's Chew the Gum. Hey, let me tell you real quick about the Let's Chew the Gum. People keep asking, why Let's Chew the Gum? it's simply like, some people say chewing a fat or spilling the tea or sipping the tea or whatever they do with the tea. It's the same thing, man. I just feel like, when you have a piece of gum, I remember from childhood, it always got me in a really good mode and vibe and a rhythm to be able to execute what I wanted to execute. And sometimes, you want to talk and you're in that same execution and people say, you're not supposed to chew gum and talk. You're not supposed to chew gum and talk. Well, I beg to differ. I think you can chew the gum and talk. I'm not offended by it. I mean, if you're not yapping like, a cow chewing a cud and your mouth is open and we're seeing your 32 or your dentures, that's different. We don't want, but respectfully chewing the gum with some rhythm and love, even if you chewed it that way, who am I to judge? That's not what I'm here for. Anyway, let's get back to our guest. And but that was just a little bit about the background for the title. So we talked about music. We talked about growth. We talked a little bit about you as a personal trainer. I know you have several personal clients, and you've helped them in many ways. And it's a little bit different with this current situation to be able to have face-to-face with clients that way. I wanted to maybe address that. I keep saying I don't want to talk more about the virus. Well, maybe it just needs to be talked about, but in a different way. I'm just thinking that there's a lot of good things that have come out of this current situation with the virus that don't get talked about. And so in my introduction show, I said on the next show we were going to talk about the top 3 good things that have come from this virus situation. And so I wanted to ask you what your top 3 were. I have my top 3. I actually wrote them down again today because I thought about them the other night and forgot about what I had written. There's so much going on, but I reflected and wrote them down. Hey, that was a foreshadow. I don't know. Do you want to go first or shall I?
Let's hear you first.
All right, my top 3. Here it is. Drum roll. In the studio making the drum roll. I actually have a button for that, but it's okay. So here's my top 3. My top 3. Number 1, it's a time for reflection.
I can agree.
Reflection in a lot of ways, and I hope people out there understand what I mean by reflection. No matter what your situation is, if you are a good place or a bad place, based upon your perception, whatever this situation is called, it's a good time for reflection, to sit back and just think and ponder on whatever it is you feel would be beneficial to you. I know for me, it's just a time to reflect on the important things in life, reflect on who I've been as a person, reflect on my good blessings and the goodness that it is around me. As I tell my students all the time, and my first students for my own children, but I've said all the time, it can always be better, but it can always be worse. So try to take it the way it is. And so reflecting on that, my heart goes out to everyone that's in a position where they're suffering, about family and friends everywhere. No matter what, it's a good time to reflect. That's number 1. Reflect upon it. But after you reflect, my number 2, my second top thing that's good about this is that it gives us an opportunity to focus. So we get to focus. After we reflected, now we can focus on whatever you feel is beneficial for you to focus on in life, wealth, health, whatever it may be, relationships, your next steps, all for the positive improvement. So it gives us a time to focus. That's number 2. And finally, thirdly, all that reflection and focus requires something that's going to make it lasting and meaningful, that you spent the time to reflect and focus. We want to, hopefully be able to put that to work. And so my number 3 is reaction. with the suffix in this word action. What are we going to do? What are you going to do? And I'm not asking you. It's their hypothetical. I'm thinking for myself with the action. What is the reaction to the reflection I have and the new focus? And I guess focus is a reaction in itself, but reaction. So all for the better. So live life, love life, and those are my top three, man. I'm going to have some special guests that, notice I said special guests. You're the specialist guest. So special guests are going to drop their top three, and we're going to plug them in also. So go ahead. How about you?
Well, we kind of had some similar topics with our top three. Like they say, great minds think alike. You mentioned reflection. That was one of mine that I definitely had, and I don't want to maybe repeat some things you said, but definitely is a needed time for just people to just sit back and think. And we're always so, 9 to 5, rush, have to do one task after another, or just that the culture in the North American continent, we're very fast paced, and sometimes we don't know how to take a break, and people make it seem like it's an issue if people slow things down, reflect on things, or even take time out of their livelihood just to be human and relax, or you just get to know one another. I know it's very unfortunate times for a lot of people, and these issues are going around, or the people may be in financial situations, or you just all out suffering, being homeless and all. But we have the time now to really help one another in ways, and not really be savages with hogging and hoarding supplies and things that we need. This is a time for us to learn to come together. I'm not all into politics and all, but people like to say one nation under God. If anything, this is the time to actually reflect that. If people who believe in those words, which can be very powerful, I think this is the time to really be that one nation under God and indivisible, not divided by race or by a certain person's financial status, or even just the middle, upper, and lower classes and all that. It's just time to come together, because you can be the richest person on earth. You're going to get sick, just like that homeless man in the alley. We have all this technology and all this money. It's not saving us. We have to help each other. Really. And that's one of my main topics is reflection.
That was well said. That's number one. Okay.
And then number two is quite simple as it is, but it's very effective and it's very serious. It's sanitation. I personally remember growing up as a kid, we grew up with the practice of washing our hands before we go to lunch, before we eat our snack in school or anything like that, or even after we came back from recess. It was a practice that was implemented with kids.
Where was it implemented first?
Where was it implemented first? Well, at home.
Oh, okay.
That's true.
Just making sure.
That is true.
I got my son on here. Good practices at the school and whatnot, but you got to make sure.
Well, yeah, that is true. In the schoolhouses, that's where a lot of people spend their days at, and it's a practice in today's generation. I don't think it's implemented enough, and the generation does not know about that. Everyone's always literally stuck on their phone, but they don't know their phone is one of the number one devices transmitting bacteria. Whatever, if they sit it down in the bathrooms, their desk, wherever they go, your phone's set down and picking up all these germs. And then where's it at? On your hands, on your face. We didn't have those issues with cell phones when I was growing up, but still, we had to wash our hands, and now people are trying to take that seriously. It's almost too late, but in a way, but still, I think that's sanitation is something that people are really learning about, and just how serious and effective it can be. Because you just look at it, a couple weeks ago, everyone was excited about all these movies and things, and now we have the coronavirus, and everything's pretty much on a halt.
All right, sanitation. I feel the same way, man. That is a good thing that people are doing that. And my thing is, and I've seen others say it, what were they doing before? I mean, I'm thinking, man, I'm washing my hands every time I leave anywhere, man, in and out of a store, or I don't touch doorknobs. And working in a school like I do, or schools, or wherever I traverse, man, it's always a lot of people. So I'm trying to be conscientious on the germaphobe, and maybe that's not a bad thing for now, because that's what the whole world is turned into right now. I don't want to say whole, but you get my point. Always washing, man. It's such a obvious thing. So I'm glad people are doing that too, man. I dig your number 2. I don't know what they were doing before, but there we go. All right, number 3. So your number 3, you have reflection, and then you have sanitation. This is it, man. You only get one more thing to talk about on this topic. So,
Well, and this is another one. Has nothing to do necessarily with viruses or maybe even sanitation, maybe a little bit, but creativity. This generation really lacks the imagination. I think now people are going to learn that since they're not doing some of the normal things that they're always occupied with, whether it need to be with the daily task of whether it be work or just some sort of hobby that's distracting from what the human minds they potentially capable of like doing. I think the imagination grows like people in a way like saying we're in a renaissance, kind of like the Italian Renaissance, or just awakenings throughout periods of history. We're definitely in a new revolution, and it's the future. 2020, we have all this tech, but yet all these technological advances we have is not helping us with this virus, and people are going to have to get creative in a new way to fight this thing, whether it be like I said, practicing sanitation or literally just making new methods of living, whether in how they dress in our clothes or how we're just eating our food or whatever we're doing. Creativity is definitely going to be on the rise, in my opinion.
yeah, man, this is definitely a different time for some people, man. I was sharing with you earlier when we were just talking off camera and microphone. I was saying the last time I experienced something like this, growing up as a kid, we get these really bad snowstorms, man. You be snowed in. It wasn't a virus, but you didn't have access to a lot of things, and it wasn't that supplies were running out. But for the most part, if the salt trucks didn't come or whatever, you couldn't get to it. I guess that's what they experienced in that movie, The Shining, man. People snowed in. So, everybody just reflect, practice good sanitation, as they said, and understand that things are changing, and you have to look at new ways to approach some things in life differently than before. So let's, ride it out. And continue to tune into this podcast, man. I'm hoping that we can get out to you at least each Tuesday and Friday. Like I said weekly before, but we'll see. I also said it could be semi-weekly. But again, tune in to Let's Chew the Gum, the podcast where we just talk about topics, man. Let's talk about it. Let's chew the gum and just have a good time and talk. Say what's on your mind. Feel free to email us with any topics that you'd like to discuss at protkall@gmail.com. That's PROTKALL. You can check out more episodes from our podcast at anchor.fm/protkall. Again, PROTKALL. Or check us out on Spotify. Also, I'll have links out on Facebook, which is Let's Chew the Gum. There, I'll have them on Instagram at Professor TK. I'll have them on Twitter also at Professor TK. So check us out. Feel free to call in, give us some topics, some shout outs. Oh, and if you like what you hear and you want to keep help supporting us, you can support the show by going to anchor.fm/protkall, where you can donate $99, $4.99 or $9.99 a month to help support it, and we'll be sure to do something good with the money for sure. There's no doubt about that. That's the protocol way. So again, my guest here in the show today is Nyktos, classically, beautifully developed piano player, musician. We didn't even talk about the other instruments that he plays, but there are several. Bass guitar, and it has saxophone in there, and he dabbles in a few things, man. It's pretty good. Are you married?
No, I'm single.
Are you looking to get married?
When the time comes, but okay. I'm single.
All right, when the time comes. All right, single, and when the time comes, he might mingle. I got it, man. So then we also, had some conversations about your fitness program. I know you have a platform now for online. That's timely. You've been developing an online accessible workout platform where individuals can come in. I assume there's a fee associated with it where they get some link or access to online fitness program, and I think that's great and timely. Also, virus and no virus. You want to talk a little bit about that?
The fitness program or the virus?
No, the fitness program. I'm done talking about the virus. I'm done. I want to talk about you, man, and the good things you have to offer people, man, because people need things, and just because the virus came doesn't mean they won't need them anymore. They just need them in a different format. So I just wanted to talk about different ideas or ways, or perhaps what I'll do. I'll put a link on my pages on my Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'll put a link to whatever Nyktos has for online workout programs. I wonder if there's a word for that, like
Online training or virtual training.
Oh, I guess there is a word. Virtual training. There you go. Virtual training. Okay, yeah. So we'll put a link to that, and then maybe perhaps we can come back and talk more about that topic as well. Online training, another topic for another day. Anything else you'd like to add to that?
To be honest, I think you covered it all. I mean, I've had a good conversation, enjoyed discussing these topics with, particularly this virus. That's what's got me really interested in, is just spreading awareness of that and making sure people, don't panic and all. That's kind of like my main point. Is don't panic.
Don't panic. You heard it from Nyktos. Yeah, don't panic for sure, man. Hey, until we talk again, people, this has been Protkall, your host. My guest today has been Nyktos Light. I'm going to put a link to his pages where you can reach him if you want to check out his virtual workout plan. And we talked about his piano playing, people. I get a chance to hear it all the time, and I've asked him online. You saw, I don't know, I set him up and asked the question, would he play for you guys online? Because I would love to broadcast that to you if he allows it, but we'll see. I think I'm going to hold it to him. Email me, let him know, put the piano out, right? Email me, letschewthegum @gmail.com, protkall@gmail.com. Check us out on Spotify. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and I'll soon announce or put a link also to the other podcast platforms where you can check out the show. Until then, we always have
Something for your mind. Something for your mind. Something for your mind.
무엇인가 정신을 집어넣으세요. 마음에 어떤 것이 필요합니까?
Something for your
정신을 집어넣으세요.
mind.
정신을 집어넣으세요.
Something for your